Monday, Broncos country. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Broncos. We're live, we're ready, and we're jumping right into the news. Bree Maestas, Zach Seegers, Joey Richards. Guys, running back contracts. Nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's signing long-term deals. Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, all of them failing to come to terms. Real quickly, before we get the show started, thoughts?
Yes. Bree, I do have some thoughts on this. Here's my main thing. It's the way that the contracts are set up, the rookie contracts, is what's messed up about it. Because I don't think you should be giving these guys massive extensions past their first contract, but they definitely should be, because of that, paid more during that first contract. They're one of the most reliable positions to draft. If you draft a running back, they're usually good out the bat. Because of that, they should probably be paid higher right off the bat. It's when that second contract comes, they start to fall off. So why is that when they are asking for extensions or when they want to be paid more? It's not fair to the position. I don't think at all. I think that's the way I would make it better. Is I would make those rookie contracts more based off the position plus draft slot you are taking them more than anything. I think that's the way I would do it instead of just purely draft slot. That doesn't make as much sense to me.
And I think there's an argument for that, but that is like dramatic salary cap reform.
I'm dramatically
which is
changing
possible.
that.
No, and I'm saying that's fine, but that's something we haven't seen since 2011, and that won't be on the books until 2031, until we see that. And I agree. The only way we get running backs like more money outside of the steady increase of the salary cap year over year is dramatic changing to the rules of the game. I don't even know what those rules would be, though, because even as you emphasize the running game, it's been found out now that investing in the offensive line is how you improve the running game, less so than investing in the running back position. So I think it would take a dramatic CBA change, maybe a dramatic rule change. But we're talking about stuff that's years off. It's not the NFL being mean to running backs or like, I don't know. I've seen some sentiment that's like, oh, well, they just got to pay them more. This is crazy. The running backs get so much yardage, and it's like, it's just so much more complex than like who gets the most yardage or who gets the most touches. But then it's also very simple. It's supply and demand. Demand, running back's not a very valuable position. Low demand. Supply, running back is maybe the easiest position to find in the NFL. High supply. What happens when you have high supply and low demand? Cheap.
Whoa. Let's talk about a Denver Broncos offense that is banking on the rushing game. How does this affect the Denver Broncos if they're relying solely on a run fast, run early, run often offense? And you're telling me that they don't need to further invest in the running back position from what they currently have on the roster?
They don't have to invest in the running back position to invest in the run game. I think, and that's like a little extreme, but like you don't have to make a big investment in the running back position to invest in the run game. What moves the needle in the run game is the offensive line. And the Broncos should absolutely continue to invest in the offensive line. I think it's like the foundation to a good football team is a good offensive line. Absolutely continue to invest in that. If you have a good offensive line, throw Kenny Gainwell behind it, throw Rashad Penny behind it, throw whoever you want, Miles Sanders behind it, throw who were those guys in that last Eagles Super Bowl? Corey Clement, throw Corey Clement back there, throw LeGarrette Blount back there, late stage LeGarrette Blount. It doesn't matter. You're going to have a good running game because you've got a mauling offensive line.
Then how can we sit here and tout the effectiveness and the efficiencies of a Javonte Williams or any other running back who's going to come in and make marginal changes for a roster? Joey, talk to me a little bit about how you foresee this at least changing, or do you think it's right where it needs to be? Because I understand it's not how it works right now. What improvements need to be seen? And is the evaluation the wrong process, not necessarily the, I guess, the outcome that you end up with?
Yeah, no, I Bree, the changes I would make is kind of how like I would start, like how I started this podcast is just, it's messed up because they are valuable. I think running back is valuable. They're just not valuable on that second contract. They can be valuable on that first. If you have an elite running back on that first contract, it's awesome. I mean, everyone would want to have a top 10, top 5, whatever type of running back. So when you start hitting that second one, they're so far and few between that they're not worth paying. So the issue is here, the way it's set up. It's not that anything more or anything less, because you go into the market, everyone says, hey, guard isn't a very valuable position. Center is not a very valuable position. Centers and guards are getting paid out here. I don't know if anyone's
harder to cultivate.
Well, yes, exactly. It's because they can go and last through the NFL. That's the thing. Like, you can go and last through the next
you can't
contracts.
find them.
Yeah,
and
well,
you can't find them. How many good centers are there in the NFL? 20? How many good running backs are there? 75?
Okay, but
that's the thing. That's the dramatic difference.
I agree, Zach, but it's also like if you can have an elite running back,
offensive line? Offensive line takes 3-4 years to get good. Running backs are generally at their best right away.
That's why they should be being paid more early.
And I think that's fair.
Because
then
that's
that
exactly
doesn't. But Joey, what we already see, the big reason running backs aren't taken in the first, or part of the big reason they aren't taken in the first round, is because if you take one in the first round, you're automatically, like, Bijan Robinson is making more money than any running back right now. That means to live up to his contract, he's got to be the best running back in the league right away. That's already with that. That means with the current, but that means with the current structure, it already decentivizes drafting running backs early. Your structure, while giving running backs more money up front, maybe in theory, would decentivize them or decentivize drafting them early even further, pushing them further down the draft, and then maybe limiting how much they're even able to capitalize on those.
I see. This is where I disagree, because at the end of the day, bro, Bijan Robinson, as much as running back is devalued right now because you don't want to give them a second contract, these guys are still getting drafted early. Everyone just likes saying that they wouldn't draft a running back early, but in the NFL, they're still drafting running backs early. We had 2 running backs go in the first round this season. They're still doing it.
It's one of the lowest rates of any position in the NFL.
What do you say?
One of the lowest rates of any position in the NFL, though.
That's fine, but they're still doing it. They should be being paid higher. If you believe in that position like they should be incentivized better than they are at the moment, Zach.
But if it's one of the least drafted positions in the first round, I think that's the opposite of betting on that position. I think it's betting against the position.
Yeah, but if you're as good enough to be drafted that early, you should be paid more because it is the least incentivized position. That's my take. If you are,
but that's the current draft slotting formula that does that.
What was that?
The current draft slotting formula does that. Sorry, in terms of paying them more for getting drafted earlier.
Yeah, but they aren't getting any benefits off the second contract. That's my argument. They're not incentivized that much. They really aren't. Like, by the draft slot, they are in respective to the other players that are being drafted, but in terms of the position, they aren't. It's not their fault that they're good at running back. They should be getting paid more. If that's a position they are good at, it's not fair that they are being it should be less. Honestly, they might be drafted later with my philosophy, but at least if they're that good, they should be getting paid that much. That's
All right. I opened up a can of worms. I meant to play the time's up buzzer, but I was enthralled in the conversation that was happening. Before we get too much off track, we're going to jump into what our scheduled topics were for the night. Appreciate you both for that sort of insight. I'm sure we'll be covering it the rest of this week here for Let's Talk Broncos. But on to other news, and that's the new fair catch rule. Sean Payton had some thoughts and feelings about it. The NFL made several changes this offseason, which included spotting the ball at the 25-yard line for a fair catch at kickoff. I don't think Sean Payton was necessarily in favor of this move. Zach, I need you to break it down for me. Talk about the change as it stands. Why do you think Sean Payton took the stance that he did?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's a bit of an old-fashioned guy, going back in the days of Bill Parcells and everything. And I get his stance. It seems like an extra headache. But what he described, I think, sounds like more entertaining football. I think my complaint with a lot of these rules in regard to kickoffs and special teams is it's not really fixing anything. It's just, it's fixing the health aspect. But in terms of the quality of the product for a viewing audience, it's not fixing anything. It's just making kickoffs less fun, less explosive, less exciting, and just kind of a meaningless play, almost like a second extra point. At a point, I think, let's just cut out the fat and let's get on with it. Like at a point, we have to stop clinging to like the 1% chance there's a kickoff return touchdown. And I don't know, come up with something that's a little more fun. That's not safe. Because I think what we've learned over the last like 10, 15 years of medical study is that like kickoffs, as I think we envision them, just aren't safe for the human body. And we're like now trying to find a way to like still have kickoffs, but make it safe for the human body. And it's not a good product. Let's just come up with something different. Start at the 25, do some wacky XFL kickoff like Rock's suggesting in the chat.
Stealing Rock's comment right off the YouTube chat. If you also want to have your comments read aloud here on the show, comment over on the Mile High Sports YouTube or Facebook. Just automatically put the ball at the 25 or do wacky XFL kickoff. I understand that. I understand there's a small range in which there's a kickoff touchdown return. However, injuries are at a higher statistical possibility with the way that the rules are presently set. So if kickers aren't aiming for and or achieving out of bounds there, Joey, do you think it's one and done after the 2023 season, or do they keep this long term?
No, yeah, I think they're going to eliminate the punt return and the kick return by football by the end here. I think we're slowly moving towards that. And if we are, you might as well. Because like Zach said, I totally agree with him. There's no point of having it at this point. It's pretty much just like extra long commercial break for all of us. We aren't seeing anything fun out there anymore. It used to be fun. It used to be great. But hey, guys, this is what happens. NFL is so physical that injuries happen on that play, and it's just not worth the risk. So I would probably just eliminate the play all from football, and you just start at the 25, like Rock said. That's something that I would do. Punt returns, I'm not exactly sure how you would do that. That's an interesting conversation that we can have in the future, but I would bet that they will eliminate that play altogether in the next few seasons.
Maybe we'll have a game to decide exactly how they achieve those types of plays going further. But until then, this is the rule for 2023. We'll see how it impacts the game. There's going to be a lot of comments. I know a whole lot of people were not excited about the new rule, basically calling it boring. I think anything that eliminates the possibility for injuries is a good move. Whether or not they decide it's beneficial for the game as it exists, we will see. News coming out, somebody who did, suffer a bit of an injury. MALIK Jackson retires, didn't play in 2022, officially retired prior to the 2023 season, spent 4 seasons with the Denver Broncos, ultimately going to the Jaguars after Super Bowl 50. Everybody remembers that strip sack by Von Miller, but who was there for the fumble recovery? The MALIK Jackson had a very storied career, but also had some really interesting comments after his retirement when Good Morning Football decided to ask him about team-friendly hometown discounts when it comes to a player taking a cheaper, less expensive deal to stay with either their championship or hometown team. Zach, I asked you about this today on the Fan Cave, and we basically walked through what it means for a hometown discount. But MALIK Jackson's offer from the Denver Broncos was inexplicably cheap. It was a lot less than what the Jaguars were able to offer. And then shouts out John Elway, whose tenure no longer dictates whether or not contracts are given appropriately. Since we're talking a lot of money on this show, Zach, I'm going to throw it over to you. Comments on MALIK Jackson retiring, comments on his comments about team-friendly deals.
Yeah, I'll really quick. I forgot to set this up beforehand, but greatest or here I'll circle back to that on the money thing. Sorry, scrambled. I don't know how much of it was John Elway being crazy cheap, and how much of it, though, that's definitely an element. He was very cheap as the Broncos GM, and how much of it was the Jaguars rather being crazy, exorbitantly just throwing money around. Like the contract MALIK Jackson signed averaged $14.5 million over 6 years, right? The contract Zach Allen just signed as one of the top 2-3 free agent defensive linemen available out there right now is a 3-year deal averaging $15.25 million. So like MALIK Jackson's deal back in 2016 was almost double what Zach Allen's 2022 deal is. It's
Yeah, no, that's wild. Okay.
different worlds.
I
Like,
see that.
he
I didn't
got
know.
a
That's
bag. So no hard feelings to him for leaving at all. And then I'll hit this up. He had I guess hit the exclamation point on my favorite Broncos memory ever that I was alive for.
And the Panthers have a 3rd and 10. Here comes pressure, and they've gotten to him. The ball is out in the end zone, and it's recovered by MALIK Jackson for the touchdown. It was Vaughn Miller with the strip sack, and Jackson with the recovery.
Yeah, I mean, that was an awesome moment. I agree. That was one of my favorite moments as a Broncos fan as well, was that MALIK Jackson moment. And some of my favorite moments just in general came from MALIK Jackson. Very, very unfiltered guy. I think he has a future in media if he wants to, because even as an NFL player, very, very unfiltered. Says it how it is, exactly how he feels. That's something he does. And he doesn't hold back from it whatsoever. So I appreciate that about MALIK Jackson. And also, while Zach did bring up some great numbers as to why MALIK Jackson was overpaid at the time, and I honestly, now that he kind of puts it in perspective, I agree with him. He was almost like a little bit, I think, of the writing on the wall of that great Broncos defense when he left. I think people underrate just how good he was. He is like exactly what people thought Draymond Jones was going to be or had the potential to be was MALIK Jackson. He had everything in his toolbox at that position. He could do a little of everything. MALIK Jackson was awesome. Congratulations to him on his retirement, on a very, very fantastic career. I think one of the better Broncos interior defensive linemen to play in Denver. So, yeah, definitely shout out to him.
Shout out to him. And as we reflect on the greatness of Denver Broncos past, we're looking towards a new era. That might be a Freudian slip. We're looking towards a new era of the Denver Broncos. The Walton Penner Group, along with the new regime of the Denver Broncos, is eyeing a new look. Obviously, we've seen a lot of the fan edits for uniforms that are coming in with some throwback Broncos colors, some old school D logos. But what we get on Tuesday, the 25th, is a look at the new white alternative helmets that the Denver Broncos can wear for 2 games this upcoming season. I know that we've seen the frosty images. They're iced out. There's primary colors that are being highlighted. Today, I gave out a prediction of what I thought they were going to look like. I'm guessing a pearly white, orange stripe down the middle, and a blue, I would say solid blue Broncos head logo. I don't think they're going to do the old school D. Zach shot me down very, very specifically and told me I was stupid for thinking that anyone would like that whatsoever.
I think childlike. I think I said childlike.
Yeah, basically, I only like the chicken tenders and the ketchup. But what I wanted to note is that it's a classic streamlined look. We're not ready for the old school D logo to be back. Uniform rebranding is coming. It's not time for it, Broncos country. I'm going to need you to be a little bit patient here. Joey, new look, all white out jerseys, or do they wear the new helmets with the throwbacks?
There is a very specific uniform in which this works, and it's none of what Zach Seeger's put on this graphic here. I'd like to point that out. He also didn't make these jerseys. I have to point that out. I'm not going to be mean. I think CU does their whiteout very great. I think their whiteout is perfect. If you can make it simple, their whiteout jersey is great. You want it simple. Awesome jersey. The issue is I don't trust these people. That's pretty much the main issue. I don't know if you guys have seen what Nike's been pumping out recently. You could just walk through the Nike store. There might be 5% of things you think are cool in there. I do not trust this whatsoever at all. I hope Damari Leach has something up his sleeve. You know, he worked something out with Nike, made something cool, all of that. But yeah, I just don't trust these people enough to make cool uniforms. And also Twitter is really bad at making uniforms. I don't trust anybody. They're all bad.
I think if they pair it up, here's the thing. It might be a little funky. I think if they do it with the vintage logo, it'll look pretty nice. I think that's what they hinted at. There was a tweet I saw. I sent it in our show group chat, where people were zooming in on the like reflection in the frost, and they think it looks like the kind of old D stripe logos that the Broncos have out with like the vertical orange and blue striping, and it makes sense to me. So I kind of think they'll go with that retro look. I just hope they don't pair it with the color rush.
So
they
sweet.
need to wear that all white helmet with an all white pants and white jersey.
Didn't they already?
I am
say
terrified they're going to do.
Uniforms going to be orange. Didn't they already say that?
I
Did
think
they have to keep last year's.
I haven't seen it announced. What
uniform they have to?
The article I was reading on this mentioned the rules, and there was stuff about you have to wear it during the week of practice up beforehand, and you have to make sure your players have their same helmet in their right size in the different color, and there was all this stuff about it.
I like that idea though, Zach, the stripe with the orange with the blue on the sides, because that does match the graphic underneath. I thought that was a very nice touch. They put basically the blue, orange, and blue hashes underneath the text there. We'll find out on the 25th. We'll do a little reaction of some sort once that comes out. Either way, win some games. These are going to be good luck. You're going to come on here and just slander the new uniforms?
I mean, I would put 95% down that I am going to hate them. Yeah.
All right.
I would agree.
As long as they're not the yellow and brown, which Rock seems to be cheering for. You are a sick individual, Rock, and I will not allow it to happen.
They're all trolling us. It's going to be the old Denver Broncos D on the helmet, wide out helmet with the yellow and brown uniform.
That goofy bucking Broncos logo.
Oh my god!
It's the socks. It's the socks that would get all twisted up into like ice cream. No, I hate it. It's not happening. I won't cheer for it. I won't show up to those games. All right. That's enough on the new uniforms. We'll update you when they get released. If you'd like to hear what we hear, jump on over to the Discord and we'll talk some more Broncos with you offline. Let's jump into which Broncos were snubbed. I love this graphic because there were a couple of snubs. And if you don't know what we're talking about those ESPN source top 10 lists. League insiders, including scouts, executives, coaches, and players, all had a say on this ranking for the top 10 players of the 11 positions in the NFL for ESPN's list series. The results were compiled. The NFL fandom gets to react to them. That's what we're doing right now. Javonte Williams, Quinn Miners got votes. They were not snubbed. However, Russell Wilson, Greg Dulcich received nothing. Let's start with those who received votes, because although they didn't make honorable mention, they didn't reach top 10, they were able to get a couple of votes from either players or coaches or scouts alike for their play in the last couple of seasons. Javonte Williams, obviously rehabilitating that gruesome injury, but he got some votes. Quinn Miners being thrown into the thicket, being one of the most reliable offensive linemen for the Denver Broncos, also being acknowledged for his play on the field. Let's talk about those two. Zach, I'm going to shoot it over to you. How do you feel about Javonte Williams getting votes for top 10 running backs?
Yeah, I think it's nice. I don't know how much stock to put in it. Going forward, what does it mean for Javonte Williams? I think the people voting on this didn't have much better intel than what we have now. That said, I think it's the ultimate testament to what he was able to do through a rookie season and then 4 games of last year. That, recency bias is definitely a thing. We haven't seen Javonte Williams play football since like early October. And this guy was like, yep, Javonte Williams, he's one of the 10 best running backs in the league. Also, while we were devaluing running backs and everything, part of that is there's an immense glut of running back talent. There's a lot of awesome running backs out there. So all that considered, and Javonte Williams is still standing out. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think that's cool as well. Do I believe that he's a top 10 running back? No. Do I believe that there should be any other Broncos in that conversation at the moment? The answer is also no. I think that they have it set up pretty good the way it is. The Broncos are coming off of a bad season. The year before that, also a bad season. I'm under the belief that you kind of have to prove yourself a little bit. I don't think this list was to project. I don't think that was something that was going into this. Who are the best 10 players at this position right now? Who are they? And I wouldn't put the Broncos, any other Broncos in that except for Justin Simmons and Patrick Surtain. And they were. And I thought they were both evaluated appropriately as well. And that's just kind of where I stand on that.
I kind of agree. I would throw Greg Dulcich, the tight end, in there. Now, some of that is because of the opposite of what I just said about running back. There's a desert of talent at the tight end position. And here's why, Joey. I see you rolling your eyes at me. There's insane correlation on that list. Joey removing himself from the show. There's insane correlation on that list between yards per game production and placement on the list, from the top 10 guys in yards per game, or most of the guys in the top 10 on the list, the guys in like that 10 to 20 range or the honorable mentions, and the 20 to 30 range, you see the others receiving vote category. 19 of the top 23, this list mentioned like 20 some receivers, 19 of the top 23 wide receivers in terms of yards per game, or tight ends in terms of yards per game, got a mention somewhere on this list. And I'm not even saying Dulcich is a top 10 tight end. He deserved a mention. He's one of the top 25 tight ends in the league. Absolutely. And I think you can even make the argument for him as a top 10 guy. Last year was really impressive. Had one of the best rookie tight end seasons ever. Some of this was projecting. When I was looking through these, there was mention of it for one of the young players at I think running back or wide receiver or something. But anyways, there was some element of projection with it. And I don't know.
Zach, what is the best ability? Availability. The moment he does that, the moment I'll put him up there. Simply that. Sure. You're just ranking the top 10
Why are you
tight
a
ends
hater?
at this moment.
Why
I'll say this though, Dawson Knox made the top 10, Joey.
Dawson Knox isn't a bad tight end.
He's not a bad tight end, but
he does more than Greg Dulcich.
Well, what are you? Oh my God, what are you valuing as more?
He's better blocker. He's more athletic.
Dulcich was.
You stirred up Bree, Joey. I
love Greg Dulcich. All I'm saying is that the moment that he's more available is the moment I'll put him up there. And the reason why you have these other guys up there, I'll start putting him as a top 10 tight end. I do believe that he will become one. But at this moment,
God. That is ridiculous. We're moving on just for the sake of not wanting to talk about that anymore. Russell Wilson also getting snubbed off the list. Not a top 10 QB, not a projected top 10 QB. I'm not surprised. Although I would like to see some elevated play. Today, I don't know if I was just feeling it. During the fan cave, I did note that I'm almost for certain there will be an elevated level of QB play for 2023. No votes. None. Absolutely 0 votes. That to me just tells me everyone else is in the same position as the Let's Talk Broncos crew. Anything to note on Russell Wilson?
No, like I said, I think that the list kind of had it pretty appropriate as far as the Broncos go. If I'm looking at other teams, I disagree with a lot of them. I think the Broncos was fine. Let the Broncos prove what they can do, and let's start irritating these people when they're still not putting them on there, because that'll also happen. Both
follow its method.
All right. Okay. We're going to move into the meat of our program, because tonight we thought it would be super fun to guess the stat line for Denver Broncos. We're going to go around. We're going to throw some players out there. We're going to get the guesstimated stat line for that Denver Broncos player. Any position, didn't matter what it was. We wanted to pick, and then we were going to go through our list to see what we thought their projection was going to be. So I'm going to start off with mine. Since we're talking about Greg Dulcich, let's do Greg Dulcich. I did 609 yards, 72 targets, 5 touchdowns. I want to go 6. I'm not going 6 because I don't think there is enough love to go around for Greg Dulcich from Russell Wilson. I think you're going to be limited there with how many touchdowns the quarterback can throw.
I agree. I mean, there are a lot of targets. There's a lot of targets on this team, and I think they're all kind of similar tiers. There isn't one that just stands out from the rest yet. I think Jerry Jeudy has the potential to do that, but it's tough to set it too high, especially when you're talking about the touchdowns and how much he should get there, because I think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton are going to be spreading the ball around everywhere. I think that everyone's going to have pretty good seasons if I were to average it out. So I'm not mad at what you're saying, Bree. I like it.
I like it. I could see a positive season there. Like Joey said, I think we're going to see just like a more productive offense with Sean Payton running the show. Just like, God, I don't know, just we're actually going to see the offense work, and we're going to see guys get open and be able to get some targets in this system. In terms of Greg Dulcich, I think he's going to have a huge season. That Joker role should not be underrated for Sean Payton. You saw the guys he listed off in that role, and they haven't finished outside the top 3 for the Saints in targets in a long time. You go back through those running backs, and you're back in the days of like prime Jimmy Graham before he got traded to the Seahawks. I don't know. I think he's going to know how to use Greg Dulcich really well. I think this was a blessing in disguise for Dulcich, and he should. I think he'll pop. I think we already saw a lot from him last year that was promising. As long as that hamstring doesn't keep bothering him, he's going to have a big year.
Listen, you could have gone after the Travis Kelce stats. You could have thrown George Kittle up there, but it really is a stark drop off when you start considering tight end numbers. And I don't think 609 is relatively asinine for the position.
Yeah, no,
Joey.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair, Brie. I definitely think that's. I don't hate your stat line there. You know what? As much as I want to sit here and hate on the whole situation, I would love to. That's my favorite thing to do. Hate on Bree's takes on the pod. I can't do it this time. I thought your take was pretty solid.
Thank you. Zach, throw a stat line out there. I'm sorry. I've lost it this episode.
Yeah, and I got to be honest. I misinterpreted the show. I thought we were like guessing together what the stat line would be. So I'm coming up with what it's fine. I wasn't sure on it, and I should have clarified. But I was like, no, I think I got this. But it's fine. I will just tell you what I was thinking for the player I was going to throw out anyways now. Jerry Jeudy. This is great because now I get to throw out mine, and I'll also have you guys on the record. I wanted to get you guys on the record just being wrong on Jerry Jeudy going into the season. I think I'm the biggest Jeudy believer on the podcast.
Here we go. No, you're not. You're hating right now. I clearly am.
I definitely am. I'm hyped.
No. Anyone that watches this podcast can attest.
Let's go, Gregory Miller.
I say
with 10 touchdowns. Sorry, I had to interrupt you. Go ahead. I
say Jerry Jeudy finishes the season. I'm going to look at the NFL receiving leaders here because I think he's going to be talking about let's prove it. Let's prove the Broncos deserve to have a guy in these top 10 lists. I think Jerry Jeudy is going to do that next year. I'll say Jeudy has at least 90 catches for 1,100 yards.
I mean, Cortland Sutton had 109. So, yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Cortland Sutton had 109.
Or did he have 109? Oh, he had 109 targets.
Targets. You have to catch the ball, okay? You have to catch the ball.
Well, you're telling me Jerry Jeudy has to catch the ball? Okay. All right. Well,
yeah. There are 12 players that had 90 targets last season. There are, how many with 1,100? It's more because it will be outside it. 15 with 1,100. The overlap there, not great. You're looking at two guys didn't hit that number. So 9. He has to be a top 9 receiver to that, or top 10. Perfect. Yeah, you have to be one of the top 10 receivers to pull that off. 1,100 yards, more than 90 touchdowns.
More than DK Metcalf, more than AJ Brown, more than Jamar Chase, more than Hawkins. Like that, no. I'm going under.
All right, go under. Doubt him.
Yeah, I'm going under as well. Zach has the crown. He got too crazy. You know that like that's the situation that happened.
He's number one. I'm telling you guys.
I'm a huge Jerry Jeudy supporter. I really am. But you have those people that take it too far, and I think that's what Zach just did.
Michael Thomas. Last time Michael Thomas was healthy playing with Sean Payton, he had 150 and 1,800 yards. A 16-game season. I mean, are we like saying Michael Thomas is bad or something now? What are we trying to say here on this podcast? I'm not saying Michael Thomas is bad. I'm just saying I think 1,100 yards, 90 catches. I think that's doable.
All right, cool. All right. I disagree, but
totally
hey, you know what? Shout out Jerry Jeudy, huge fan.
Goddamn, Joey. All right, Joey, throw yours out there.
All right.
Throw your stat out.
I'm going P. Ryan. Samaje P. Ryan's mine. And
Did
I
you
am
also
going.
misinterpret the rules? Are we going to have to like guess what we think you guessed his stat line was going to be?
Yeah, guys gonna have to. No, you guys aren't guessing what my stat line is gonna be, but you're gonna tell me if I'm right or wrong. I think that Samaje Perine, he'll only have like 600 yards rushing on the year, but he's gonna have 400 yards receiving on the year, and I think that places him in the top 10 of receiving backs if we go to last year. How wrong or how right do you guys think I'm going to be on that take? Zach, we're gonna start with you.
How many receptions again?
I didn't say receptions. I said receiving yards. I said
How many
400 receiving yards. That's going to put him in the top 10 of running backs in the NFL. And I don't think he's going to have a ton of rushing yards. I don't think he's a 1,000-yard back. I think he's going to have somewhere around 600 rushing yards.
All right, that's interesting. Last year, just so people know for context, last year he had 394 rushing yards. And I always looked at his long. I was like, 32 receiving yards. Goodness, 287 receiving yards.
Extended role this year, though. I think that's what he's going to get.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you, Joey. I'm going to agree with you. Maybe I'm being too bold on this Broncos offense here today. But Sean Payton did use the running backs a lot in the passing game. He does that more than a lot of OCs. I think Perine's the best built for that currently on the roster. I think Javonte Williams can do a lot of that stuff too when healthy, but Perine's proven and Perine is healthy. The Broncos running back room isn't going to steal as many of those pass game looks from Perine as Joe Mixon was able to steal from him last season. So he only needs 113 more yards. I think that's very doable.
You're a smart man. Bree, what do you think?
I don't know what I think. What I think is that we're trying to assemble an evaluation here, and then we're just going to end up not paying him anyway. So why are we talking about it? But 600 receiving yards. I don't know what concepts Sean Payton is going to run. That's going
only
to
400. 400.
400. Okay.
400. That places him in the top 10 receiving backs, Bree, but that puts his rushing yards lower than I think some people anticipate with him being, quote unquote, the lead back, as some people would like to say, carrying the ball. I think he's more of a receiving guy. I think he's going to be more utilized in the passing game than people realize, and even less in the rushing game than people realize. That's kind of my take there.
Okay, I like the conversation there because it changes where I'm coming from on this. Because as I'm going through, the rush yards, we're falling into like, I don't even know. We're falling into like if Samaje Perine was a mobile quarterback, and this is what we're outlining for him. So the fact that you want his receiving yards to be at 400 yards implicates that you think he's going to receive targets through the middle. It's a lot. It still seems high to me. Okay. Specifically because Javonte Williams is slated to come back in. Javonte's receiving abilities, though, have not been the absolute best. So now all of a sudden I'm signing off on chats that aren't actually happening. So that's interesting. Zach, did you do that? Oh, it says...
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did. Now that you'll make me cop to it. Yeah.
I mean, my hands are up in the air, so you can see I'm not.
That's why I thought it was funny.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No, you got to make sure you're following us on YouTube, everybody.
Is that the Let's Talk Broncos
sorry.
YouTube by chance? Is that
Yes, it sure is.
Okay.
The Let's Talk Broncos YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. You can also send carrier pigeons to us at an undisclosed location. You actually just drop it over Central Park. Anyways, I'm going under, Joey. I just don't think there's enough love to go around. I think that we're going to get really sticky when we start talking about some of these record-breaking stats from individual players. And a lot of us are going super stretchy with our guesses here. That's going to take me into my next one, which is another reach. Let's go. Timothy Patrick, 926 yards. Yeah, I'm going big. He's going to be the number one target here for Russell Wilson. 121 targets. Sutton had 109 in 2022. 8 touchdowns, which seems absolutely incredible when you couple it with my guesstimate there for Greg Dulcich. And I'm going to say the longest touchdown reception for him is going to be a 61-yarder. Because I threw that one in because I was looking at those stats earlier today, and I thought, why not? 60 yards sounds good. Let's put one more on top of that. Zach, tell me how crazy and out of line I am.
That one's a little too rich for me. Like the thing is, I am betting on other pieces in this offense thriving. So that's where I'm at. Joey, what do you think?
I don't know. I go back and forth. Give me more of a reason.
Defend it, Bree. Give me your case.
I don't have a case, bro. I'm
saying Bree. Give
Bree,
what's your case?
What's my case for
Your stat line?
For my stat line is because Russell Wilson's chemistry with Tim Patrick has to be the number one thing catapulting him forward. What Russell Wilson needs right now is not only a crutch on the offense, Tim Patrick is going to be his end zone scapegoat. Every time he's ready to score, he's going to be targeting Tim Patrick. So he also has that. Well, have we seen how many times he's missed him over the middle? So, and you can also have two people. You're going to have Timmy P down.
I was just saying the red zone part.
Oh, the red zone part. Yeah. Well, I just think that Tim is going to be Tim, because we're on a first name basis, is going to be targeted more than Greg Dulcich is. But I'd like to see Greg Dulcich get that run too. So that's why I have their touchdown totals so high up. I don't think it's going to be Jerry Jeudy, although I think he's shown a lot of promise. I don't think it's going to be KJ Hamler. The chemistry and combination hasn't been there. Russell Wilson obviously wants to have that kind of rapport with all of his receivers, but he's going to show favorites, and I'm pretty certain it's going to be Tim Patrick.
Okay. Yeah, no. Yeah. Bree, I also think a point to the Tim Patrick, if you're saying Tim Patrick's going to have a really good year, something that points to that is just how often he's talked about by media and Sean Payton to media. It's getting leaked somewhere. It's Sean Payton. And I think the Broncos are expecting him to be that number one wide receiver. I think he's going to have a huge year. And I think it's going to be in spite of somebody else on this roster. Someone maybe a little underutilized. I don't know exactly who it's going to be yet, but I think Tim Patrick is going to be stealing some of their catches, some of their yards. It's not going to be totally all the way fair. I think the Broncos have already set their minds on who the best guy in this wide receiver room is, if I'm being completely honest with everybody.
I think it's Jerry Jeudy, which is why I am not betting on Bree's prompt. I think Judy's going to tear it up in this system. This is when he finally breaks out. Tim Patrick's coming off an ACL. Sutton is, I don't think, long for the Denver Broncos, if I'm being honest.
I think Bree is right, but I think my heart says Zach. That's where I am right now.
Oh, fine, whatever. Zach, what's your second one?
My second one, prepared with the stat line this time. Baron Browning. I think Baron Browning, last year, famously, I made a bold prediction in favor of Baron Browning, and I loved what we had seen in the little flashes in the preseason. And I said he was going to average a half sack a game, and he was going to finish the season with 8.5 sacks. And I came up short, and he finished with only 5 sacks. Well, I'm running it back. I don't care about this knee injury. First season ever playing the position. And although the pass rush was really great last year, sometimes that can detract from the just like eye-popping edge sack totals, because you've got defensive linemen getting the pressures in the sacks. You have Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell getting some of the sacks. You've got a nickel cornerback getting a sack here or there, taking chunks out of that pie. I'm a big believer in Baron Browning. I think he has all the physical tools you want at the position. He's already shown some like really impressive understanding of the position. And I think it's only going to get better with time. He just needs time there to play. He currently is projected to get back early in the season. That's kind of a necessity for me to hit on this prediction. But if he does get back early, I think we're going to see a better Baron Browning this year. And he might even be the Broncos' best edge rusher.
So you're saying 8.5?
Yes. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Because Von Miller had 8, obviously injured. Cam Jordan had 8.5. My goodness.
As at the end, a washed up Cam Jordan. a washed up Cam Jordan. Let the record show. When she says Cam Jordan, we're not talking about all pro Cam Jordan.
Okay. All right.
That's 10 less than Nick Bosa.
I think Zach
Yeah,
thinks we're
that's
doing
Nick
bold predictions right
Bosa.
now. I disagree. I mean, I love Baron Browning. I love his potential, but would I put my stakes on that? No. I'm going under that. I know we're not doing over under, but
Under where do you think he lands, Joey?
in far sacks, 8.5, right? Is a little.
That's where I have him. He had 5 last year, for reference sake.
Yeah, but like the main thing here, Zach, is can the guy stay healthy?
That's not answering the question. He wasn't healthy for all of last year.
The
either,
best
Joey.
ability is
How
availability.
many
Joey's been saying it all night.
Okay, so how many sacks is he going to have next year, Joey?
Like 5.
I'm asking you to put a number down.
Like
5.5.
Like 5.5. Yeah. And then we're going to come
so
back.
You think he's as good as TJ Watt is what you're talking? Because last season TJ Watt ended with 5.5.
I mean,
like that's a bad
talking
thing?
about.
I'm sorry, that was crazy. But yeah, 5.5 seems low on there.
That's out of pocket.
I have 5.5, and I think he has the talent to do a ton more. If I were to put an average on something, and I would put the over under at around 5.5. Being
how many
that
games
the
do you
injuries
think he plays? How many games do you think he plays?
Listen, I can't do that one, Zach, and I'll tell you exactly the reason why. I don't want to jinx the Broncos. I'm not trying to be right on that. So I think
I just wanted to see if you were going to predict TJ Watt's exact stats.
I hope you're right, because I love Baron Browning's game. I love Baron Browning's game. I just need him to play more games at this point. That's the only thing I have with him. Yeah.
Frankie's dictating the show now, wants to know how many pressures does Baron Browning get?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a quick equivalent for that. If you have 8 sacks, you're probably getting around, it looks like 25 pressures, 26, 27, somewhere in there. I'll say 27 pressures.
Yeah, I don't hate that one as much as I do.
Those aren't a real edge rusher stat, Zach. You know that.
Yes.
What pressures on?
Bring sacks to this podcast. I don't even know.
Oh, bring sacks. Yeah, fair. You know what? I should be ashamed. I should have said both. Like I did it last year. I said 8.5 sacks or 40 pressures. 40 still seems really high. So I think that was based off of PFF's tally, and not right now. I'm looking at Pro Football Reference, and they're a little stingier with how they chart it. The guys in that range, we're looking at DeForest Buckner had 29 pressures with 8 sacks. Preston Smith had 27 pressures with 8.5. Leonard Floyd had 9 sacks, 31 pressures. So I think high 20s, low 30s, that ballpark.
Okay. I don't hate it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're going off of how many sacks you would have, I think you're correct. I'm just going lower.
I'm also going lower. All right. That'll do it for all that nonsense. I want to get to honestly something I've been really wanting to do for a while, and that's more Joey's questions of the day. Let's go.
That horn is so disrespectful.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it every single time I come on this podcast until it changes. It's the most disrespectful horn of all time. How do I have these two greats to the left, and I get I don't even know how to explain that horn. I'm also joking. But I saw a tweet this morning, and it was, this NFL season was hilarious, and everyone started quote tweeting it and putting what was their funniest moment of this NFL season. I thought the Broncos had a ton of funny moments, so I was going to ask you guys, what was the funniest of the Broncos moments this last NFL season?
All right, so Zach and I have ours prepared because we really liked this question. Zach, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Yeah, you go first, and I'll play it for you.
Okay, Zach's going to play my moment. Listen in.
Thank you, guys. Broncos country.
Obviously, in what was the death of the Broncos country, let's ride, after a 2-interception, no touchdown, overtime, fans have fled the stadium, Thursday night football, 12-9 loss. Russell Wilson decided that a very sad but yet still alive, Broncos Country Let's Ride should happen. And for some reason, it was both hysterical and depressing at the same time. So I thought that we should all relive it right before the season starts.
That one's good. Mine,
That is fun.
I go back to the introductory Russell Wilson press conference where you have Nathaniel Hackett just totally fangirling over Russell Wilson. The moment everyone remembers from that press conference is this one.
Wow. Come on, y'all. Russell Wilson. Holy.
But I think the way more cringy, way more embarrassing, and the frankly way funnier one is him flirting with Sierra and then immediately realizing, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. That joke didn't land well at all.
Totally getting to know this family. I'm not going to lie. I was very excited to meet his wife. Almost probably more excited, not going to lie. But sorry, Russ.
The fact that you can hear the media room cringe in their seat is
you get like 2 seconds of like awkward silence. It's like he says like, sorry, Russ, and then there's like more awkward laughing. It's a painful listen. I love that.
Zach,
so
were you
much.
there that day?
Yeah, it's scarred into my brain.
Oh yeah, was it awkward? Was it really?
Oh yeah, no, and she was like front and center too. She was sitting in the front row.
Oh my!
And it was
God,
just like,
my man. What are we
no,
doing?
everyone was
crazy.
like, ah, man, it was bad. It was really, that was maybe the most uncomfortable moment of my entire life.
Too bad that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a stable enough relationship for Nathaniel Hackett to make it him uncomfortable with. Joey, do you have a favorite moment from 2020?
Yes,
or a favorite funny moment?
I'm kind of shocked, you guys. I think I have 2 that I would rank above both of yours. Although I don't remember, I didn't have as great of a memory, so I appreciate you guys bringing those back. Those 2. One, I would say when the Broncos were on Nickelodeon and Patrick Starr was.
Oh, that one's so good. We have it. We
Indy
have
agrees
that.
with you.
Wait, where is it? Did I do? Oh,
I mean,
no, I deleted it because I was like, we'll never do that again.
Being on Nickelodeon on a football game is crazy. You're already disrespected. And then you have the Nickelodeon characters roasting your football team. That's wild.
I totally forgot about that. That I think is the right choice. I still love my Sierra one. It doesn't get enough love, but I think yours is the correct number 1.
And then also I would say when the Broncos were doing the countdown at the games of the count, like these guys can't figure it out. 10, 9, 8. Like we're all in the stands screaming this. I was laughing the entire time through. I even though it was also depressing, it was one of those laugh through the pain type situations. But quite a few funny things happened this season for the Broncos, I would say. Some more depressing than others, though.
We may have to come up with a cumulative list of all of these. If you have a favorite moment, tweet at us, the LTB podcast. You can also find me and the gentleman over there as well on any given day. We implore you, go check out our stuff. Follow us wherever you find your podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the one-off clips that we post over on YouTube. Search Let's Talk Broncos. You can also find us on all of the other social medias by following that handle over there. Bree Maestas 303, Zach _Seegers, JR Drafts. Guys, what do you have coming down the pike?
Absolutely nothing. Just follow me on Twitter. I'm talking football. It's at JR Drafts, like Bree said. And then, yeah, like Bree said, go follow Let's Talk Broncos on YouTube. That's all I got. Zach, how about you?
Yeah, follow me over at Zach _Seegers. There's going to be a lot more Broncos and Buff stuff coming out of there soon. Let's Talk Broncos YouTube. Let's Talk Broncos anywhere you engage with media. Please support us over there. It means the world to all of us. And yeah, follow my Twitter. Exciting stuff in the works.
Don't follow his threads.
Be informed over there.
Ever.
And my threads, Zach Seegers, all one word.
No,
it's show dead. _AY_. Get me more followers than both Zach and Bree on threads. Anyways, Bree,
whatever. Fun stuff coming down the pike. I'll be on Let's Talk Draft on Thursday. We'll be back together as a trio on Wednesday. Fun stuff coming up. Follow us and set your notifications so we can talk some more Broncos along with you. Have a good evening and good night.